Les Sliviar. Let's call it the Sliviar.
I like that everyone says it like weird.
Dude, I just call it fucking fun. My name is Cliff Kapono. I'm from Hilo, Hawaii, and I'm a surfer and a scientist. And in my science, I look at how reef environments change over time and also how they affect wave activity. One of my first memories, I was actually on the back of my dad. And I remember his back was like so slippery and so wide. I didn't fall off, but I remember I must have been, infant, just trying to stay on this slippery guy. And that's probably the first moment of remembering catching a wave. It was on my dad's body, pretty much. Yeah, I never actually had like a stand-up board session with my dad, but he's a lifelong surfer, grew up surfing in a family of surfers, surfed Waikiki, was always down with the Beach Boys, him and my uncle, John. Having that sort of surfer lifestyle, my dad really wanted to make sure he instilled his perspective in what he thought was an appropriate way to navigate waves, and not just the way we approach the ocean as Hawaiian people, but also the way we pick our lines and the way we appreciate other people surfing as well. That was pretty big for him. Yeah, this is my Travis Reynolds stone fruit. What's left of it. It broke twice, actually. I got it fixed once because it was just a buckle, and then it completely snapped after, and it just, I don't know if it's going to ride the same anymore. It didn't ride the same after it buckled once, and then once, now it's in half. I just feel like what it was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I don't know if this is the kind of board I can keep repairing and it'll still give that same feeling. This was made for more of like a shoulder to head high, long left-hander. And when it was made, I got really excited, and it was so, this felt light, and it's at 8.4. I think it's an 8.4. Or an 8.2. But it's something that I felt that I can get maximum sort of speed and engagement with the minimum amount of effort, which I thought was really valuable, or I feel it's really invaluable. And a trip came up to go to this beach break in these islands in the Atlantic, which is like completely opposite of the wave that it was made for. It was made for a kind of softer, long left, and I took it to kind of a thumping beach break with barrels. How the rails were created and the longer rail line, I just feel like I didn't have to work as much to put this board where it wanted to go onto the wave. It seemed like I could just stop thinking about putting the board in different parts of the wave and just allowing the board to pick its best line. And as long as I held on, I was completing waves. At first, I went with a small crew of surfers that were all riding thruster beach break shortboards that were just trying to get barreled and ride foam balls and get spit out. And by the end of it, I couldn't get this board back because everyone was trying to ride it from me. It was a pleasant surprise for everyone to make barrels on this board that was originally made, I think, to ride slopey waves. Yeah, so this is a Hayden shaped surfboards. This is an epoxy with carbon fiber rails, and Hayden. The relationship with Hayden is pretty unexpected. I was introduced to Hayden through Shea Perkins, and the aspect of the relationship that I think is most valuable for me is the idea of design and the willingness to communicate about new things and explore new things together. And although this particular shape is something he developed with someone else on his team, he provided me access to a bunch of boards to find a baseline. So it was really like an exploratory beginning of try this board, try that board, try some of Craig's boards, try some of Mickey's boards, and try all these different sort of boards. And what are you feeling something? And he didn't really start with questions like, did it feel good or bad? He just said, just start off with something that you get a feeling. And then we can start to explore if that's a good feeling or a bad feeling. And through that conversation, I realized that he puts his wide points a bit further up on his boards. And though I was asking for a certain dimension, when I explained the feeling, he said, if we explore a shorter board and you trust me on this, maybe we can find something that you want. So we started on a feeling, we investigated more about what that feeling was like, and we brought it into the feeling of a board that felt good. And that was the first time with sort of like a mainstream shaper that I experienced conversations like that. It's really awesome to be able to ride a sort of a thruster, sort of mainstreamish sort of board by someone who's open to also getting weird.
Hurries, no worries.
Sliviar?
Sliviar.
Yeah. Less Livy. Anyways, this is the 1010 Josh Hall Sliviar. This is the Sliviar 1010 Josh Hall.
Close enough.
This has been a board that I've really gravitated towards over the last few years, and I'm like really grateful to Thomas Campbell and Josh Hall for making this. There's just certain parts in my surfing that I feel were really being underserved, and when this board came into my life, I started to feel like there was certain parts of the wave that I didn't know how much I needed in my life to feel like this is what surfing is kind of about for me and where I want it to go. It gave me a sense of direction, and weirdly, I ride a lot of traditional Hawaiian surfboards, and in like a weird way, though this is not like a traditional material or board, the feelings that I get on this board are very similar to those traditional boards that I ride in Hawaii. And it's just really, it's cool to be able to ride something in a modern form, but it seems like it's got a bunch of history in it. If I close my eyes and I ride this board and then I look back at what I'm riding, it doesn't really equate to like a little wave or like a wave that's head high. I get these feelings of what I get when I'm at sunset, or what I get when I'm at some of these taller, more powerful waves. It's a feeling of being in like so much energy is flowing through the board with all this rail and getting up into these higher parts of these waves where I'm not just cruising, I'm not just like slowly boating around. This is allowing me to project forward. It's allowing me to feel like I'm gaining speed to a point where sometimes I feel like it's kind of out of control because there's so much being received in certain moments, and I'm doing the least amount of work but receiving the most amount of speed, and I'm receiving like the most amount of like rail engagement. Like, I don't know, it just provides feelings that I don't really feel in other boards, which has made it so special. Team Uncle, Timo, Thomas Campbell, the stubborn catalyst of this creation, and the hands of the prodigy. Josh Hall created this beast, and addiction. Now I'm trying to get as much as I can. Chase that dragon on head high waves. This is the guy, and this is the guy.
Yeah.
Now we just hug it out and we make more.
Got my bodyguards over here. Oh! I mean, I'd give it a shot, but it'd be pretty tricky to finish shape this thing in here.
You have like the biggest shaping room I've ever seen
I know.
to the smallest areas ever. What if you want to cut that fucker out?
I'll cut it out.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they made it or how it works, but I'm glad they made it, because yeah.
Well, we're all just this whole thing is like a movement off of Skip Fry's Eagle. So I met Josh with Skip at filming them a little bit at Sano that ended up in my movie The Seedling. And I was getting educated into the movement of the big board with Skip, and I got an 1111, which was like totally crazy. Like that thing would go, it was like that thick and it would go so fast. I was going faster than I ever went, and we were pretty out of control, but amazing, and experiencing new things that I never experienced before. And then, you know, Josh is kind of the seedling underneath Skip and learning from Skip. And how many years have you been surfing? How many years have you been shaping?
I shaped my first board in 1999. In that whole time frame, and then kind of started doing the business in 06. So
06. Cool.
kind of 25 years, I guess. Crazy to say that.
Yeah, so 25 years of you doing that, and then this is probably coming up on 18 years of us
R&D and
R&D and
iterations.
and development. It's probably, for me, it's like 24 different versions to get to this where we are now. I think also maybe what you're trying to say, Cliff, is like there's also something really beautiful about however Josh has blended all the things, and there's this really rare control of speed, which is just in your ankles. You have quite a big trim space in the board, and you can be anywhere in that, but just with your ankles you can really control exactly where you are finitely, which I think is very unusual, because like a lot of boards will run or they'll stop, but this one has like a really interesting adjustment.
Well, for how seemingly flat it is, it turns over and maneuvers like you wouldn't believe it's a 10-10. Like if someone told me it was like an 8-10.
Makes more sense how you can, on the lines you can draw.
Yeah.
Well, the key component of these guys, I've always said it, is, it's got a pretty large V panel, which you can have something totally flat, which is fast, right? We're all trying to go fast, but then you lose control because, like you said, you can outrun or barely hold on. So you cut the V in, it gives you rail curve without rocker, right? So then that's what gives you the main control, like you were saying, to be able to, those little subtle adjustments, and not just like take off because you have a 35-pound board going 30 miles an hour or whatever. It's I think with what we've done with the weight and then the flexibility with the thin stringer, and then of course the bottom little softer rail,
Well,
the thickness, because that's the problem with almost all gliders. all gliders are boats. Almost all gliders are boats.
Yeah.
People go fast and they steer on top of the water.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, and we worked at it for all of the years to get it totally reduced. So when you put it in the water, it's going into the water, and then you have release. And then like that took us fucking forever.
Yeah, and a lot of it, stubbornness on my part, because like, oh no, but we grew up riding them this way. This is how they should feel. And I mean, I'd be in there like, and I'd really have to think about it because there's a different blank now. But before, I'd have to take all these center cuts to not get the tips to be 0, right? Because you can only run so many passes before the tips are at nothing. I'm like, racking my brain, and then.
You're like, what the fuck is up
like,
with this weird artist guy? What the hell does he think he wants?
I mean, a couple of the early ones, I remember even just paddling, that it would wibulate or whatever, it would vibrate. Like you'd paddle into a wave, you'd push down and everything would bend. And we started the density we worked on and the stringer combo and everything together now. Now it bends right when you want it, and just like shoots you into waves. And then
yeah, they were pretty noodly.
It's like here, and even here, it's like you get up, okay, I can turn over here, but I'm not going that fast, and I'm like flying crazy, and then I'm slowing down.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just like, if you shift the weight, like, okay, I'm going too fast, slow it down, then shift the weight a little bit over here, okay, I'm slowing down, and then go right in the middle here, you're just like
5th gear.
Flying. Yeah. Like 7th gear sometimes. It's crazy.
It's really special to have the conversations with you about the sensations that come from this sport and your relation to your culture and to your language. And the words that you talk about that describe the actions and the activities is like another dimension that I don't have. I don't have a cultural history that relates to the sensations that I'm experiencing, and it's really interesting to get your insight from your culture, about it.
Yeah, I grew up paddling outrigger canoe. I grew up on the sailing canoes, the traditional sailing canoes, riding the traditional wooden surfboards, like stuff I don't really like put out to the world as much because it's more cultural in my more to like my family and things like that. But out of all these boards, like these are new feelings that I think help me to explore new parts of riding waves and being on the ocean. And there's something about this that is new, but there's a bit of familiar in that, which is why I really enjoy it. Like I said, it serves a part of my surfing that I don't think was served very much in other boards.
40 grit scratches are free of charge. Stay loose, and it takes the pressure off your low back. Comes out You see a poor brown coming down the beach with like some just crazy, and you're like, oh, I better rip.
Right? We used to do it with whiteboards.
Other way?
In Hilo, yeah.
Really?
Because ours are all brown. So if you see, like, I remember one time we seen this guy with the Channel Islands whiteboard, like, Dane. Just because it's a new board, because we all had old boards.
Yeah, so typically,
I guess just, I learned a lot from riding all these different kind of boards and really realizing that for all the different kind of waves, there's different tools that you can ride. And being open to exploring and being open to acceptance that sometimes the tool you really want to do or the tool you're just trying to force is not really the right one or appropriate at that time. Doesn't mean it's like bad, just maybe there's an openness that needs to come in and open and broaden that perspective. And like these boards for me, I'm gaining so much more perspective on when to use certain tools and when to have certain perspectives, and that translates into my life pretty profoundly, and whether it's in my science research or whether it's trying to be a better community member or family member. Sometimes just taking a step back and seeing more perspectives turns out to be the best for everyone.